All right, we're out here. We've got a MDC board member who has been given a bunch of land that we've talked about. And then this week, twice, I have sat through 2 different trials for one of our followers who got over a dozen citations for debris in yard and other things. And as you can see, there's debris right there. You've got what looks like an old dilapidated vehicle over here.
Right there by the street. Derek, it can roll right into the road.
Yeah, right into the road.
This is MDC board member Elvie Brown. This is the old church he used to have. He got him a big old piece of land right here. All this land the city gave to him. Right here, this easement, I guess. I believe it worth $100,000 plus, and they gave it to him with all fees waived, almost $50,000 in fees waived, and Elvie Brown gets to do whatever he wants. Derek, we also passed by his house.
Oh yeah, passed by there, and you know, it is a violation of city code to be operating a commercial business out of a residential neighborhood and a residence.
And we also called code enforcement about the trailers, right?
Yep. And they've allowed that. They just, apparently it's okay if you put gravel. So I'm wondering if we went and got a dump truck and put gravel in Miss Morris's yard, would that suffice and the city would leave her alone?
We're going to give a quick inspection, y'all, of this place. This is his property. Of course, they gave all this land to him away for free. Elvie Brown, board member of the Midland Development Corporation. We believe that's a big conflict of interest. John Norman, the councilman, doesn't believe so, but we believe it is. So he has a vehicle out here. Derek, can you do this?
Well, I thought vehicles couldn't be parked on unimproved surfaces. I thought you had to have pavement. I mean, it just seems like they pick and choose, and the fact that, you know, the city just put out a code enforcement video talking about why they enforce some of the codes that they do, and yet a lot of the residents, they say that code enforcement is very selective in their enforcement. And that's part of what we're doing, is because it does seem like somebody possibly wants a person's home and they just keep hounding this one individual. And yet we can drive all around this town and show all the same violations. We can go by commercial properties, some of these gas stations.
We've seen a lot today.
Yeah, we have seen a lot.
We might start driving around.
I mean, if you look right over there, there's all kinds of pallets behind that building over there, and yet they were messing with Paula for pallets. We just saw a wall constructed out of pallets. There's all this stuff, and yet they're hounding somebody for debris in their yard. We drove by somewhere over here that a person had a washing machine and a lot of trash out in front of their property. They're not hounding them, making them clean it up. I mean, it's very selective enforcement, and there needs to be attorneys looking into how selective this enforcement is and why they're hounding this one citizen.
Yeah,
for 20 years or more.
And Derek, I believe too, a lot of people use Jesus' name for filthy lucre's sake, and I'll leave it at that. Pretty disgusting in my opinion. But yeah, look at this Elvie Brown's property, y'all. This property is actually listed under his name. We've seen it, or I believe either his name or his nonprofit, but you know how nonprofits are. But look at this, y'all. He has his debris right here on the side of the road, clearly, and you know, they don't harass him, mess with him whatsoever. This is pretty disgusting. Derek, do you think that this is you know, being biased or having some kind of favoritism?
Oh, absolutely, it's having favoritism. I mean, when you're sitting there hounding one person for over 20 years, and then you're telling the citizens that if we get a complaint, we have to go work it. We have no choice. Well, we submit complaints about various things that we see, and it does not get the kind of enforcement action that one particular citizen suffers and gets hammered just like they're a nail and the city is a hammer. They constantly hound that citizen over and over. And yet all around here, there's pallets everywhere. Yeah, there's pallets right over there. Yeah, there's pallets right here. There's a torn down, dilapidated fence right over there. And yet somebody who lives on the corner of Midkiff, they hound and hound and hound because someone apparently complains. So is that what we have to do, is get the C-Click Fix app and have a bunch of people submit multiple complaints about various addresses and share the photos to get the city to actually have the same kind of enforcement action?
Yeah, and we also complained about Elvie Brown, and all he did was just put gravel on the ground. I mean, that's a bunch of hogwash. Derek, real quick, one point. This piece of land, I believe they wanted $150,000 for this land right here. And what's so much different from here, right, than what they gave Elvie Brown for free? They waived the fees, $50,000, which they say is an easement, and they couldn't make nothing here. I'm pretty sure he's gonna have a big old church building with his parking lot here and selling coffee and selling books and God knows what. But it's pretty interesting that that piece of land right there was waived for a Midland Development Corporation board member, no fees attached whatsoever. They wanted $50,000, they waived them. And this piece of land, about the same size, is actually for sale. There was a sign that I called the realtor on camera, and it was about, I want to say $150,000 for this piece of land, which is pretty accurate. Yeah, Elvie Brown gets, you know, a sweet deal. What do you think about that?
I think it's a violation of Article 3, Section 52 of the Texas State Constitution. If the state of Texas cannot give a municipality, a county, or any other political subdivision the power to lend its credit or anything of value or to give it away, then how did the city legally give this to someone? That's state constitution. And I hope that there are some civil rights lawyers and other people who will look into this and come in and say, nope, these guys are right. Your city council has violated that. What they're doing is operating on a buddy system, favoritism, and it's just wrong, plain and simple. It's not about attacking anybody like local radio says, oh, they just hate this, they hate that. No, it's about the law. You've got local talk radio saying that Vicente should have just obeyed the law.
They said that?
Yeah,
wow.
He should have just listened to the, how many people in the comments? He should have just listened to the officer, and yet the law doesn't matter when it comes to an MDC board member and the city council violating it.
Why don't they listen when the law needs to be enforced on them? But you're right though, Derek. There's some people like the radio station, the fake news and all them, they're saying that he should have listened, but there's civil rights attorneys we've seen, people that speak up, civil rights activists, and even big YouTube channels that deal with this. This is a clear violation of this man's civil rights, and they've said it, but we don't want to go too much in the weeds, but we will be covering that. We're the ones that broke that story with Vicente, and hopefully he gets justice. Back to this, y'all. Final words, Derek, on this situation and this man's property and just the bias with the code enforcement.
That's all I got. It's just bias, and it's unfair. And I mean, anybody who sees this, if there's civil rights attorneys out there, we have over 90,000 registered voters that were denied their right to vote on something that we had every right to vote on. It's on our comptroller's website. I mean, there are so many violations of state and federal laws being committed by this current city council and our inept city attorney who does not know the law, that any law firm would be busy for the next decade or more suing these people into oblivion. And they can be sued civilly and personally for their actions. There's not this qualified immunity when you break the law, especially whenever you have citizens who are making a point of order to try and tell you what you're doing wrong, and then they're sending you emails saying this is a violation of law, this is what happened in El Paso, they're facing a lawsuit. We got responses back on those emails, and yet they still go ahead and just do whatever they want. They think there will be no consequences for their actions, and I'll be glad when federal authorities and others show up to this town and hold these people accountable.
Biggest story probably in West Texas history, the corruption in Midland, Texas. Again, this is Elvie Brown, board member of the Midland Development Corporation, his land property with clear violations of trash in the yard. And then we go by his house and he puts gravel underneath the trailers. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all, the neighborhood there does not like or take kindly to him skirting the law and running a business out of his home. It's pretty disgusting to see his piece of property. But we'll leave it at that, y'all. Thank you, Derek.
Yep.